It is the year 2047. The Board of Directors of Global Governance, Inc. has enacted sweeping legislation to outlaw all forms of visual media on Landmass 17, formerly the United Kingdom. Telewall Mega C 9D, real-time live sims, and Interdrip 6.0 have all been banned. This decision has been made in response to the outbreak of civil unrest on the landmass. Violence erupted following the contentious result of this year's Celebrity Landmine Challenge Telewall Widecast, the result of which sent hordes of enraged sofa dwellers and do-badders onto the streets in ugly, inarticulate protest. This conflagration has become known as the Variety Riots. So, once again it falls upon radio to inform, educate and entertain a feral populace, a task to which we here at Global Broadcasting plc are more than ready to step up. Let us begin the re-education process. Let us soothe the savage beast as we go head to face.
Hello, my name is Stanley Mendicant, the first clinical psychologist to be shot into space. And welcome to this, the second episode of Head to Face. Back by order of the courts. We are broadcasting live from Module 2647B, orbiting the Earth at an altitude of 358 kilometres in a particularly picturesque spiral arm of the Sony Way. I've built up a formidable client list among the colonies which dot this corner of the galaxy, which I'm legally forbidden to leave for the next 72 years. Our guest today is coming from one of the earliest and biggest of the mega colonies. And here he is now, docking into the module wearing his trademark velocity romper. While he is bathed in ploxic gel, let's learn a little more about him, shall we?
Radak Slake is an investment titan, whose personal worth has grown to the point where it has transcended numerical expression and can only be articulated by a sound. Slake is a founding investor of Ebullient Capital, which has made an extraordinary 83% return on its investments in the likes of Vaporization Solutions, Consolidated Agony, and Flago. Following a misunderstanding at his home, which resulted in the accidental incineration of his nephew, Rip, Slake decided to go off-planet and settle a self-sustaining colony called Lorenzia. Tired of Earth's petty legal restrictions, Slake and his fellow investors envisioned a community founded on the principles of the controversial cultural critic Shejun Runsi. Situated in a much sought-after stretch of the Craft Nebula, Lorenzia grew into the primary location where individual liberty could be enacted. Despite persistent rumours of involuntary immolation and organ laundering in its crypto mines, Lorenzia continues to attract the upscale freedom lover.
Radak Slake, it's a pleasure to have you head to face.
Hey Stanley, my brand alignment team have told me great things about the show. Congratulations on making it to 175 episodes. It is an amazing achievement.
Thank you. Let's begin by talking about your upbringing. You grew up...
Wow, we're going to go straight in. Usually an interviewer pays me a few compliments on all my success.
Well, okay. Congratulations on all your success. You, have an impeccable sense of style, and you smell of caramel.
Thank you, Stanley. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome. You were born on Landmass 17's Scarborough, but you grew up in the ruins of Landmass 38's San Francisco during the Soy Wars.
Yes, my parents worked in tech. They created a dating portal for Windows called Mourner, but they joined the West Coast Dairy Collective when the city went vegan.
Infojection. The West Coast Dairy Collective was a militant underground faction which formed in response to California being declared vegan in 2036. Followers of the WCDC staged a series of atrocities which included the Golden Gate Butter Bath and the Tenderloin Milk Tsunami.
Luckily, I knew how to make cheese from an early age, which makes you very useful in a vegan city when people are crying out for the sweet release of halloumi.
Yes, and this became the basis for your first business venture in the world of illicit cheesemaking. You opened the state's most popular sweet cheesy, the semi-hard bite.
I used this capital for my first passion project, the char pole.
Infojection. The charpole was a pocket-sized device which was capable of skinning and cooking rodents, cats and small dogs in under 30 seconds.
It was my gift to the hungry of the world.
There was some controversy, however, with the introduction of larger charpole models which were used on humans.
Misuse is unfortunate, but the larger models did come pre-installed with an anti-human setting, which the user had to disable. So really, it's a personal freedom issue and not a criminal liability issue.
Now, while we're on the subject of personal freedom, let's talk about Jejun Runcie. You are the most high-profile devotee of Runcie's teachings. What drew you to her?
That's like asking the flower why it's drawn towards the sun, or why clouds are so sexy. Runcie freed me from the prison of compassion through the golden bullet of logic.
Infojection. Jejun Runcie's standing as a public intellectual was solidified by her denunciation of pop culture shibboleths like King Silly's Wacky Castle and Dr. Wobbles. Her essay, The Snuggle Bunnies and the Frankfurt School, became a seminal text for the emergent retired child movement. Her book, The Centre Parting, a tonsorial ontology, topped both the Alienated Mail and Fashion Tell-All bestseller lists.
Runcie is the queen of the confusing metaphor. Let's listen to some footage of her taking a principled stance against a child's cartoon.
Empathy is a dart that is shot into the neck of a mighty Indian elephant, which impedes it from stampeding ever onwards towards the pinnacle of its psychogenetic imperatives. That is why the snuggle bunnies are an affront to the values which underpin our civilization. Now take out your combs.
Around the time you were tied up in legal hot water over charpole, you decided to come out as cirrus sexual.
After a lot of soul searching and consulting with my brand alignment team, I felt the time was right.
Now, for those who may be of a cringing disposition, could you explain what cirrus sexuality is?
It's a lifestyle on the spectrum of human sexuality, whereas a person is attracted spiritually and physically to clouds.
Infojection. It is believed that 1 in 845,000 people identify as cirrus-sexual. Roughly the same number of people diagnosed with sentient warts or fans of Serbian salsa music.
The response to this announcement was particularly savage. The talk show host, Jimmy Schlemiel, used his opening monologue to mock you on a nightly basis.
I felt persecuted, Stanley. It's not easy being a trailblazer.
Well, let's listen to some of Schlemiel's most savage drop-ins.
Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? Billionaire investor Radak Slake is getting married to a cloud? Have you heard about this? The couple released a statement yesterday. I'm delighted to be spending the rest of my life with such a gigantic windbag. Said the cloud. No, but really, this could work out well for all of us. Slate could bring up the idea of a threesome with his son.
Your marriage to a cumulus called Plut ended in acrimony. Why do you think it didn't work out between you?
We decided to separate when I, shall we say, admired a particularly shapely nimbostratus in the moment of weakness. Buying that telescope was the worst decision I have ever made.
Do you think you have commitment issues?
Well, leaving the Earth's atmosphere has certainly helped. I'm kind of in a thing with an inert gas right now.
Let's talk for a moment about your management style, which you describe as boardroom alligator. You detail the strategies of the successful boardroom alligator in your best-selling book of the same name. Let's listen to an extract from the audiobook, which is read by the famed Shakespearean actress Dame Henrietta Spaniel.
If you approach the alligator from the correct angle, he's completely harmless. He can be easily incapacitated by placing a rubber band around his snout. You can bother his primordial cheeks with the sharpened edge of a yogurt pot. But if you enter his line of sight with aggressive intent, he will attack fiercely and mercilessly, leaving you a fetid stew on the lobby carpet. The boardroom alligator should swim beneath the surface and wait to collect leg juice on his teeth.
There has been some criticism of the boardroom alligator approach, particularly from those on the receiving end of it. Numerous ebullient capital employees claim you frequently sprang from an ornamental fountain in the lobby dressed as a Japanese naval lieutenant. And one employee alleges that you played tennis with him.
I play tennis with many people, Stanley.
This employee is claiming that you used his torso to strike balls over a net fashioned from interns, stretched both horizontally and vertically.
What those people fail to grasp is that successful management requires a variety of approaches. Have there been times when, for example, I've confiscated my employees' shoes and replaced them with bundles of nettles? Absolutely. But I've also bathed with my employees in olive oil at my own expense.
We've all heard about Dunking Thursdays.
Dunking Thursdays raised productivity by 14% and gave their skin a healthy radiance.
The major passion in your life now is for it to never end. You've funded numerous life extension ventures, from bat pancreas shakes to cellular tauntauning procedures. How is your quest for immortality developing?
We're really close to the holy grail of eradicating death. Regular injections of bison hormone has given me 17 more productive years, and there have been major breakthroughs in the development of a body lotion which not only arrests tissue degeneration and increases cognitive function, but has a pleasant caramel aroma.
How do you respond to the allegation that many of the residents on Lorenzia are little more than guinea pigs for your many experiments?
I respond by doing this.
Listeners should know that Mr. Slake is currently on his feet and is performing a strenuous and frankly unsettling dance. His legs are kicking erratically, his arms are imitating the wings of a chicken in distress, and his head is rotating at an alarming speed. It appears he is attempting to imitate the frenzied mackerel, a dance made famous by Tony Blair. Yes, I get the message, Mr. Slake. Please sit down. The bison hormone is clearly working.
Let's say no more about it.
I don't mean to be rude, Mr. Slake, but your top lip appears to have come loose, and there's an orange goo coming out of your ears.
I smell burnt caramel. Bring up my cheekbones! Bring up my cheekbones!
The conclusion of Head to Face will commence momentarily.
At this point, Mr. Slake's brand alignment team intervened and escorted Mr. Slake from the module. Later that evening, Mr. Slake mutated into a phosphorescent slug. An emergency consciousness transfer was performed, and Mr. Slake currently occupies the body of a delightful little bear cub called Orin. There were so many questions I still wanted to ask Mr. Slake, particularly about how he managed to get his replica 1977 Vauxhall Viva to the Kepler 395F branch of Halfords when its vapour tray cracked. Hopefully Mr. Slake will be able to visit us again one day and go head to face.
Head to Face is a production of the almighty relentless Crow Beast. All praise him and his many doings.